live from my backyard. It's a sunny day here in the Bay Area in California. And I wanted to come live on YouTube. I went live last week and I made a really important video. And I'm gonna keep talking about this because it's important. So what that is if you live in California and you're wondering if it's still worth going solar in California in 2025, the answer is yes. I've been working on solar proposals. I've had some installations, and my neighbor just got solar installed on their house yesterday. They do have to upgrade the MPU, but thankfully it's not an underground MPU, and that's going to be taking place in a couple of weeks, thanks to PG&E. But here's the thing. The electricity rates are going to be increasing if they haven't already, because we're approaching summertime. So most utility companies go from winter rates to summer rates right around now in the May billing cycle. It goes like May to October, I think, or even, yeah, May to October. And your rates go up because it's summertime, and more people are using energy in the summertime for things like air conditioning. We have air conditioning and we do use it. We also have our solar system and a backup battery. We are under NEM 2.0. That was under attack here in California, so that's kind of crazy. It still has to go to the governor's desk to you know, if he's going to sign it into it's an assembly bill. You can go back and check out my last live stream about that. But thankfully, the whole only letting the existing grandfathering be 10 years, or taking away 10 years from existing grandfathered net metering agreements was like kabooted. Like they revised it, and that's no longer a thing, which is good. However, if you are a homeowner and you get solar on your house and you are thinking of selling the house, one of the things that's on that bill to be signed or passed by the governor, if he does this, is that if you sell the house, then you lose the NEM 2 and you go right to NEM 3, which means you're gonna have a true up if you don't have a battery. You're gonna have a monthly true up if you don't have a battery for most of the year. Hello, everybody. Can I sell my lamp too, but not the house? I don't know what that means, Arnie. Hello, everybody tuning in. I'm Jamie Green, the Solar Queen. I help homeowners in California and in 34 other states go solar. So if you're interested in solar, you can always set up a consultation with me. My website's down below in the description of this video. I myself have solar. Here, I'll stand up. Don't mind those crickets. They're in the plants. But this was our very first solar system that we had installed, I guess, 6 years ago. And then we got the second system installed 3 years ago. And that was also the time that we added a battery, a backup battery to our home. So solar is saving us a lot of money. And we did purchase, so that means that we got to take advantage of the tax credit. That's 30% of the amount of the solar system because of the ITC, which is currently being looked at. They being the government, the federal government, is considering ending the ITC. It has to go through House and Senate. And if it passes, it's likely that that ITC is going to only be in existence or available until the end of this calendar year. So if you've ever thought about getting solar, happy birthday, Grady. If you ever have thought about getting solar and you're going to purchase it, whether you finance it, whether you pay cash, whether you take a HELOC, home equity line of credit, and pay for it, whether you don't have to live in California, it's a federal tax credit. This applies to businesses and homeowners. You probably want to do it now and not wait, especially if you want to take that tax credit. Let's see, in my country, acquiring solar will not give us Where are you from? This is cool that I have international viewers. Where are you from, Arnis? I think that's your name. Here in America, we have an ITC, which is it's 30% federal tax credit as long as you have the federal tax liability to take the tax credit. If you pay cash, it comes back to you. If you finance it through like a lender, a solar lender, they anticipate that you're going to take that tax credit and pay down the loan with it within 18 months for most of them. So that is urgency for you to get solar installed on your rooftop before that ITC potentially goes away, before the House and the Senate. It has to go through and pass through there before it actually, you know, changes. But hopefully they knock it down and extend it out, because we still have so much to do. These crickets are very loud. We still have a lot to do in terms of paneling America's households, whether it be on your rooftop, whether it's community solar, whether it's on a big commercial building. It's important because my solar panels are generating power from the sun. It's feeding my house. It's recharging my battery. And then once it does, my battery's, you know, topped off, it goes to the utility company and I get a credit because I'm still under NEM 2.0. But if you are a homeowner and you have NEM 2.0, or you're maybe even under NEM 1 in California, my installer, I'm happy to help people reevaluate, like if they're getting a true up. So here's what a true up is. A true up is when your solar system is generating the power, but not enough for your demand in your home. So if you are using more energy than that solar system was ever designed to generate for you, you're getting a true up. And I'm getting a lot of messages from homeowners who have solar on their rooftop, couldn't get enough solar to begin with, or only got half, 50% offset or whatnot, and they're experiencing a true up. My installer that I'm partnered with, we can install a non-exporting solar system with a battery. So think of it kind of like a microgrid, or kind of like off-grid living, sorta. But what that means is it's not exporting to the utility, and it will not affect your net metering agreement. And this is only in SCE, SDGE, and PG&E territories in California. So I've had a few people reach out after my last live stream to talk about reevaluating or evaluating their true up and seeing if it makes sense to add more solar, and it has to be paired with a battery, because since it's not exporting to the grid, that energy has to feed the home, and whatever's not feeding the home, we're putting it into the battery, and then the battery is going to feed the house when the sun goes down. And then once the battery is depleted, then you can pull from your credits that the first system was generating beyond that. So the non-exporting system has to stay with the home. It doesn't tie in with the grid. So that's really important. And currently we can only do that with second systems that are paid with cash and or financing, and the financing partner that the installer uses. So that's the key there. It doesn't apply to TPO or leases or power purchase agreements. TJ says, I heard about money for overproduction of power. Didn't know if it was true. A few years ago we got extra money. Yeah, sometimes they phase that out. I'm not sure where you're from. I think maybe you said, but depending on where you live, you kind of have to know your net metering or your export, like the ruling behind all of that. And sometimes they phase it out if you're not getting any extra money and your system is still overproducing. So, or if your consumption of energy, Arnie, has surpassed your solar system production, like let's say you got a hot tub, or you put in air conditioning or a mini split, and you're using more electricity and you're no longer, and it's eating up that overproduction and using more power than your solar system was designed to produce, then you're going to actually owe the utility company, which is that true up. So NEM 3.0, NEM 3.0 is similar to that. It has about 9 years that you're going to get net surplus net surplus credits. It will reduce every year after, and then after 9 years it kind of goes away. So, and it's pennies, it's not much. What's the name for the grid? The name for the grid is the transmission lines and the substation, generation stations, things like that, where where traditional energy comes from. So how solar works is when you get a solar system put on your rooftop, instead of buying the power from the utility company, from generation plants that are far away and they have to get transmitted through those big ugly power transmission lines to the substations and then to your neighborhood, you're now then just getting power from your solar system, like mine up there. My kids are, I homeschool my kids. They, we just finished history. The solar panels are generating the power for my home. So we do laundry during the day. We run the dishwasher during the day. I charge my car during the day. We do everything that's gonna, you know, as much as we can. We'll do it during the day when our solar system is producing energy. But because we have that net metering agreement with under NEM 2.0, we are doing just fine. The solar system that I have now is producing way more energy than we're consuming. So we actually get a true up. We actually get a credit put onto our utility bill. So that's kind of cool. It offsets some of the gas costs that we experience. So yeah. So a couple of really important things is that the federal ITC is at jeopardy. And when I say them, it's really like kind of, it's, what's the word I'm looking for? It's upsetting the solar industry. But in California, even if you don't take the ITC, you're still going to save money because the cost for energy, my son came out and asked if they can make popcorn. So my solar panels are going to power the popcorn at the microwave for them to make the popcorn. See, my kids love it. They can explain solar to people, which is great. It's clean energy, you know. People say, "Oh, well, what happens when you have to get rid of the solar panels?" I'm looking at my solar panels. They get recycled. They get broken down, and there's recycle centers for the tempered glass, for the framing, and things like that. Some of it can't all go into recycling, but a lot of it can. Let's see. Arnie says, "Well, if you produce so much power, that they will take the extra power. You just reduce the price a little bit of your power bill only." Yeah. So I no longer have a utility bill. So I don't pay my utility company, which is PG&E. I pay them $10 a month for my connection or grid connection fee. And I paid them for natural gas. My husband and I financed our solar system. So we make payments for the equipment, but the power itself is free. But the way that you can determine what is your levelized cost per kilowatt hour that the solar system is, like, compared to the utility, you take the total cost, you take the total cost, you divide it by the estimated production over 25 years, because that's what the warranties are on for all the equipment. And then, you know, if you qualified for the tax credit, you can deduct the tax credit from there. And then you get a price per kilowatt hour. And it's pretty much locked in. So I'm going to pretend, I think I did the math one time. It was like 20 cents a kilowatt hour, maybe 23 because we got the battery. 23 cents a kilowatt hour is what we're locked in for the lifetime of the solar system that's producing all the power for our home and more. And so, yes, we're making payments to the lender, but even the monthly payments are still less than what I'm paying to the utility company. But for the overall, like apples to apples kilowatt hour rate comparison, we're saving 50% because PG&E is 48 cents a kilowatt hour. So if we're paying 24 cents, that's a 50% savings. And multiply that over the 25 years and then some, because it's not like they're going to stop producing power after 25 years. They're going to continue to, produce energy. And they degrade. The panels will degrade production 0.5% every single year. I think it's like 5% for the first year, just because they're turning the system on and it's generating power. And then the manufacturers it's usually a 0.5% degradation every single year for 25 years, and that's leaving you around 15% degradation, meaning loss of production in the panels. But that is incredible. So that's where why it makes financial sense to get solar. When you pay cash, the ROI is stupid, like stupid not in a bad way, but stupid good. I'm working on a PPW for a homeowner in the LADWP territory. So it's a municipal utility company for LA. And just they don't need batteries. They're not under NEM 3. Just for batteries, they don't need batteries, but just for their solar system with a lease, that's 0% escalator, meaning their payments aren't going to increase every single month. 16 cent price per kilowatt hour is what I can lock, 15.5 cents, not even 16, 15.5 cents. I can lock them in for just a solar system and generating all the power that they need, because they're not subject to the NEM 3.0. Let's see, TJ. Well, it seems like I stumbled upon a math class. Well, yes, I do homeschool my children. I did like how to estimate your tax credit and figure out your ROI and the price per kilowatt hour after the tax credit. I did a video on that. I think it's called Updated Tax Credit 2022. And I did math on my whiteboard. I should probably do that again. That was a really good video. A lot of people liked that video and watched it. So I should probably do more math, because it is math. It's math, it's figuring out how can you lock in your rates so that they never go up. And when even people, like some people poo-poo on leases, if you get into the wrong lease, it's a bad thing. If you get into the right lease or the right power purchase agreement, which I'm always going to put you in the right one that's beneficial for you. And if you ever sell your house, the easiest way to, I don't want to say get out of a lease, but gives you the most options at that point in time. I'm going to do that for my homeowners, because I've been doing this long enough that, my whole thing is to make sure I'm operating with integrity, honesty, and helping you save money, gain that energy independence and resilience in the case that there's ever, a winter storm that hits Texas and the grid goes down, or God forbid, wildfires that cause the utility companies to do a public safety power shutoff here in America, which we have definitely experienced, definitely experienced. And if that happens, when you have solar with a backup battery, it is a complete system, and it will protect you from losing power. And especially the most important thing really for a lot of people is refrigeration, whether it's for your food or your medication or whatever it might be. Yeah, I knew arithmetic was definitely in the house over there. Yeah, it's just basic math, it's really, really helpful to be able to see your ROI. I don't pay for gas, and I don't pay to charge. I mean, I guess I do. I charge my car. I have an EV, and I charge it with our solar. And so, it's 22 cents, 23 cents a kilowatt hour to charge my car versus 46 cents, 55 cents at all the power, the charging stations all around town. So it makes a lot of sense to get solar if you have an EV and if you can do it. I know that there's limitations, like some people live in apartments or condos that have shared roofs, and the condo association won't let you put it on there. But There's off of the main street I live off of, there are townhouses, and people are more and more getting solar on their townhouses. And even if you can't offset 100%, even if it's 50%, like the homeowner I'm helping on a proposal down in Southern California, I can offset the rest of his bill with the non-exporting system. It's going to save him money over time, you know, rather than having that true up that turns in, you know. I've talked to a lot of people who used to have a small true up, maybe because they got the EV, but year after year, even though the energy consumption isn't changing, the rates are. And so that makes their true up go up and up and up every single year. So if you're experiencing a true up, you bought a house, say, I'm going to just Folsom, California, El Dorado Hills. This is all Northern California because I live in Northern California. If you live in those places that are newer construction that had a small solar offset, you are experiencing a true up. I know this because you live in hot areas where you're running your air conditioning, and if you're getting true ups that are $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, we need to put more solar on your house, and we'll do it with a non-export system so you can stay in your NEM 2.0 with PG&E. Same for homes in Southern California, in the Central Valley, you know, San Diego, all these places. Let's do that for you. You owe it to yourself. You already are invested in some solar, but things change, you know, and true ups are only going to get more expensive if you don't do something. So I want to invite you to set up a, you know, consultation with me. You can go to my website, jamiegreenthesolarqueen.com, and you can fill that form out and schedule an appointment on my calendar. There's a form that you're going to fill out, and it's going to ask you questions, and upload your utility bill and download your green button data. I only have like the example for PG&E, but SCE, it's very simple. On the main page, you just go down to green button data. You go down to the very, very bottom, and it says download my green button data, and you want it. And SCE does it in 15-minute intervals, and so it's so much data, but it's important because I need to be able to see how much your system is exporting and how much you are getting from the grid, and figuring out that difference so that we can size the second non-exporting system properly, and then size it with the right storage component so that it's not just going to waste, because that would be silly. So you do owe it to yourself to take a look and do that. So download your utility bill or your interval data and upload it to the form on my website. It's very, very helpful. And then that way I can put together a solar proposal, and we can meet and discuss your options for doing this. It's well worth the time. And yeah, and if you can qualify for the ITC again, because it's a brand new system, you should do that before it possibly goes away. So that's all I wanted to say on this live stream today. A lot of things. I went live through a third-party platform, so I don't think that the reach was very good, so I'm doing it again, and I'll keep talking about it because these things matter. And I'm here to help you, and I'm here to inform and educate you on all things solar to the best of my knowledge and ability. And I've been doing this for, gosh, almost 7 years. I've seen everything, almost everything. And so I'm not afraid of, you know, crazy, crazy projects. Yes, that is true. But thankfully, I've had some installations go in fairly quick, like, 45 days after signing, and they're already at inspection. So it's pretty amazing here in California. And if you live outside of California, don't fear, I can help you too. I can help you in lots of states. I think I should put a map on my website. Let me know if I should put a map on my website of all the places I can help homeowners, but primarily California. We have the most expensive utility rates here in California. And I would say that you know, Hawaii, Alaska are pretty expensive, but Texas is going up, Florida's going up, the Northeast is going up. Everyone's rates are going up. So if you think that 16 cents a kilowatt hour is a good deal, that is a good deal. That was California 7 years ago, and we're at 50 cents a kilowatt hour now. And you're gonna see those type of rates go up and up and up in your utility. So the only way to lock that in is by getting solar right now with the tax credit. If you decide to purchase it, you can do leases, and I'm only gonna put people in a 0% lease if I can, which is most of the states that have a TPO product. I'm gonna put you in those because it's the right thing to do for you as a homeowner. And if you don't have tax liability to take the tax credit, that's even a smarter thing to do. Yeah, this is super, super important. There's urgent. I'm not trying to be salesy or pushy, but there is urgency to all of this. So make sure to reach out if you want solar for your home. Okay, you guys have a great day. Share this out if you know somebody who's looking into solar. I wish I could like share all of this to the Redditors. Like I spend some time on Reddit on the solar thing, and people are always asking for, is this a good deal? Guys, if it's saving you money and it's not a 4% rate escalator on a TPO, if you're not paying, whoops, sorry, if you're not being price gouged, and I can usually tell when someone's being price gouged, but if it's a decent deal and you like this person you're working with, if you're not working with me, then just do it. Just be wary of, like, ask this question. This is a really good question to ask your installer if you're not going to want to work with me, but I hope you do. Ask them if they subcontract out the installation and other things. The reason why is because when that happens, if somebody subcontracts something out. I used to work with a company, I will not name it because I'm just not like that, but I used to work with a company, and their whole model was subcontracting out to subcontractors, because they didn't do installations, they just were doing sales. But what ended up happening, I went to an installation one time for this 8-month stint is all I'll say, working with this company, and they subcontracted it out. I went to the installation. I looked at the plan set of who the installer was, who I thought it was, and it was subcontracted out. That subcontractor subcontracted it out to somebody else who may have very well subcontracted it to somebody else. So everyone's taking a piece of the pie, but at the end of the day, you have no clue who actually did the installation, because they're doing it on behalf of this installation company. That's not how my installer works. My installer has all W-2 employees. In fact, the installation that happened down the street, my neighbor got his solar installed. He said, oh yeah, he was talking with the install crew, and he goes, oh yeah, I'm working, Jamie Green, the solar queen, helped me out. And he goes, I know Jamie. And sure enough, I went over and said, if I can go to the installations, I go to the installations, say hi, say thank you, check in, make sure everything's going well. And sure enough, I said, remind me, I recognized him. And he's like, my name is John, he's from the Echo crew. I'm like, I remember you. Because anyways, I took him and his crew. It was a hot, hot summer day. It might have been like 100 and something degrees. And after they were done, I took them all to In-N-Out, I think, for lunch, and got them, I think it was probably a double animal style with the fries and milkshake and stuff. And so, you know, that was really a huge encouragement to me that years later, he's still installing for the same installer that I've been using for all this time. So all that to be said, I just wanted to share that story because I thought it was really cool. But that's it. I hope you guys all have a great day. It's warm. I heard it was hot and blistering in Southern California, and even in LADWP, they bill bi-monthly, and I was just checking out this bill yesterday because I put together that quote for that guy in LADWP territory. Because of air conditioning and because it is so hot, they had a $967 electricity bill. Granted, that was over 2 months, but still. I asked my husband, would you like a $1,000 electricity bill to come your way just to keep your house cool? And he's like, no. So imagine that, $916 or $67, and I think $166 for a lease payment, and it's still generating all the power to power the house. Like, blows me away. So LADWP is a good, if you live there and you're watching this, you should reach out. Take care, guys, and I'll see you in the next live stream. All right, bye-bye.